My name is Gilbert Isham. I was born in town of Lake, Wisconsin in 1932, August 5th, 1932. My given Indian name is Nigabo Magizi, which means standing eagle. I was given that to take a man's spirit and live with his spirit so his spirit would carry on. My Indian ways mean a lot to me, and it's a lot to do with some of my Korean experiences. I enlisted at 16, June 12th, 1949. That was just before my 17th birthday. I lied to my mother and told her that I could leave early. All she had to do was sign the papers in front of the recruiting officer, which she did. I became 17 at Fort Riley, Kansas in basic training. From basic training, I went to leadership school. After that, I tried airborne, did not make it, and went to Japan and joined the Easy Company 17th. I went to Japan, Camp Schimmelfennig, early 1950. It was early 1950, when the division was filling up. They didn't have many troops, and they were filling it up with Koreans, South Koreans. That's when I joined the outfit. When I first got to the Easy Company, I was a private, and I was infantry. We didn't do much training, and we were getting fat and lazy. We drank a lot of Japanese beer, I'll tell you that. And I guess the Korean War spoiled our pleasure in Japan.
Okay.
When the damn war broke out, we started having to train, and we were training hard. We had amphibious training, net training over the side of the ship, and things like this. We didn't know exactly what was going to happen to us or where we were going, but they started training us hard. Instead of going to Inchon, we pulled into Busan, and some type of delay, and we were marching up the street, and a man by the name of Corporal Neil Young, he had been sent to Korea before us to the 24th Division, and Captain told Neil, "You want to come along with us, get in rank." So Neil joined the rank. Once he did that, he was AWOL. Once we got back aboard the ship, Neil Young was AWOL, and he was hiding from anybody that could see him. And he went into Inchon with us. But he had rejoined the outfit, but by rejoining the outfit, he went AWOL. And some of the guys are hiding him, but I didn't know Neil that way. I hung around with most of my Indian buddies. Most of those are dead now, so. My thoughts about jumping off at Inchon, I was young. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. But talk about being scared. Oh, man. Oh, we went over the side. We circled, we went in. We went up the bamboo ladders, got up over the wall, and we didn't catch any fire till we got in a little further. And then we got, I guess we got our berth. They started firing at us. Some of the guys got hit, but none of us got killed. And it was quiet after that. And we moved inland, and we were supposed to come down and meet I think it was the 25th, if I remember right. But we helped take Seoul, and we had a recreation point. It was a fountain in Seoul, and if we got twisted up or lost, we should go to that fountain. Seoul was all gone. I mean, I think the largest building there was, if I remember right, one building 10 stories, and the other one a post office or a railroad station, something like that. But it was all small. Most of the large buildings they were gone. It was pretty shut up, Seoul was. And then, but we got on tanks after Seoul, and then we went for a ways. Then we went up to Yangdong-po, and then we hit a pocket there. And I don't know if you know Einar Ingman, the Medal of Honor recipient. He got his first hit there, and Neil Young and Tony Perez, they all got hit in that area there. And Neil went home, and as you know, Einar and Tony came back, but Neil went stateside and never rejoined us at all. But Neil, Einar wound up getting Congressional Medal of Honor. I got my first decoration, the silver, and I think it was San Juan Hill, what we call it. It was Operation Killer. I think it was 1951, March. After we evacuated, after we left Busan, we went around on the East Coast and back up, and we landed at E1. And then from E1, we went all the way up through on the east side of the Chosin Reservoir to the Yalu River. On our way up there, we hit small pockets of enemy. There wasn't a lot of fighting, and it seemed like just fast movement, and it was starting to get awful cold. And I mean, it was cold. When we finally got the word that we were going to retreat, but even General Barr came up there at Heisingen, and he told I don't know if it was North Korean commander or Chinese commander, but one of the commanders of our enemy, of Charlie, that he would urinate in the Yalu River before the commander of Charlie would push us into the Japanese Sea off of Busan. And he fulfilled his promise. He came up there at Heisingen and urinated in the Yalu River. When the Chinese started entering and we were taking prisoners, and they were hitting us bad up there. They would hit us, and the first wave would have weapons, and maybe the second wave, part of them would have weapons, and the third wave would pick up off the dead of the first and second wave and keep coming. And we couldn't lay down enough firepower, and they would overrun us. And I think that's where the bayonet came into the first use, because we were so overwhelmed. But we were taking prisoners up there, and I remember this like yesterday. We were taking prisoners up there, and the interpreters from our company and the Koreans that we had that could speak the Chinese dialect said they were Chinese. And we sent them back, and we'd get word back, and they said, no, they were not Chinese. They were North Koreans. And their uniforms are different and everything. And they also told us that the first outfit to hit the Yalu River is going to rotate home first. So the 17th was it. And we all thought, well, we'd get home. We get back now, we'll go home. But I think it was, I'm sorry to say this, but we were told a lot of lies. And I didn't appreciate that part of the Army.
Good.
When we were up there, like I said, the outfit that hit the Yalu first was going to rotate first, and General MacArthur made that promise. We'd be home by Christmas, and we would be the first ones to go home. Where that came from, whether it was scuttlebutt or I don't know. But then, you want to know about our trip back, we were hitting pockets of Chinese, and it was awful cold. We still have a standing joke about the ice pick being issued to all of our troops. And it's because when we urinated, we were froze to the ground, and we had to chisel it off with the ice pick. And now, even today, when I go to reunions, I ask the guys if they still got their ice pick. And we get a kick out of that. And that's why I go to the reunions, I think, because we have fun, we tell them the funny stuff. Coming back, though, I recall Tony Perez, for instance. He passed away now, August 27th. of this year. He was on an outpost, and he took a bayonet through the stomach, went in the front, out the back, and never touched the gut. And he laid at the outpost, and he had frozen his feet and hands, but they found him alive. And his buddy that was with him on the outpost killed a man that's bayoneted Tony, but he lost his life doing it. And Tony was there alone, but they found him and got Tony back. But incidents like this from the cold happen, and the sergeants would come up to us. We'd be in our sleeping bags and comfortable. And they make us get up and stamp our feet in our sleeping bags because it was so cold, to check our feet to see if they were frozen or not. But a lot of casualties from frostbite and freezing of the feet and hands and extremities. There was a lot of that. Sure. When we would get hit and we needed air support, the Marine, I think they were Corsairs, and there was one, a Thunderbolt. I can't remember the names of the planes. But anyway, some of the pilots, we'd be on a hill and they would be down below us, and we'd wave to them and they'd give us thumbs up or wave back, and they'd rock their wings. And they would come in, say behind us, and it looked like they were shooting right at us, and they'd be shooting at the enemy out in front of us. But boy, those guys are great. They saved our lives a lot of times with the napalm. I had a bad, I don't know what you call it. I had to go to a college and talk about our experiences. And one of the professors got up and told how bad napalm was, and it shouldn't be used. It was ferocious, and they should do something about it and actually take people to court that produced it. I looked at him and I told him, I said, hey, those people up there were trying to kill me and my buddies. And if that napalm got some of those guys that were trying to kill me and did a good job of it, they could bring more napalm than ever. But the professor got mad at me for that. But I remember those pilots were great. We got low on ammo up there, and they dropped in chutes, supply chutes, and they would hit thermals from the mountains, I guess, but they would go up higher instead of coming down and drift off. We got some of them, but a lot of them drifted off to the enemy. I don't think it was the Air Force's fault, but I think they didn't count on the thermals. But a lot of our supplies were lost due to thermals, I personally think. After we left the reservoir, or east of the reservoir, through Ham Hung, and one thing I'd like to mention is when we got aboard ship, a lot of us took showers, and we were windburned and chapped and had broken skin, and they had hot water, salt water showers. And whenever anybody hit that shower and it hit those open sores with that salt, all the guys were asking for Vaseline or anything to put on their face after the shower. But the showers sure felt good. At least finally I got warm. Because when I was in the reservoir, not only me, but all of us were hoping that we could just get warm once. Just to get warm. That's all we wanted. But then we finally were aboard ship, went down through Busan, and got off the ships there and then went back north. We went up through Daegu, and we fought our way back through there. And let's see, I think the most important thing I can think of is Bunker Hill, when Einer got his medal. We were reserve platoon, and he was 3rd platoon, we were 2nd platoon. And after he did his deed up there, they brought him by me, and his head was bandaged, and he's all bandaged up. I didn't think I'd ever see him again. But anyway, we went up there, we secured the hill after he did his deed. And I don't know if Einer got him mad, but they hit us for 3 days there. And we lost we lost our 1st sergeant, a lot of squad leaders, and a lot of Second World War veterans that were sergeants, NCOs, and they were our leaders. But Bunker Hill was a lot of Second World War vets got killed up there. After Bunker Hill, we went into reserve, and then General MacArthur was pulled out, and Ridgway came in, and they took us all offline, put us in reserve. We went back to, I think it was, no, we jumped off first. We went up through Chungshan, and then they pulled us off, and we went back to Chungshan, and Ridgway was going to come to Chungshan at the airstrip. They issued us clean uniforms and weapons and made us look good. Ridgway come out of the plane, waved with his grenade strapped to him. And then when we got done, they took all the news things away from us. They let us keep the clean underwear and issued us back our old equipment. We got our old helmets back and our dirty fatigues back and gave them the new ones. I recall that. But then after that happened, we went into reserve, and we got replacements there in reserves and jumped off with Operation Killer. We went down and we took all those towns, Chichang, Changchang, all the way through to Mawachan. But before I got to Wachan, we were up there and we were on San Juan Hill, and I think 3 of us were a little hung over from Raisin Jack. I think it was Schaefer, Russell, and myself. And we were sleeping in a hole. And I suppose our squad leaders goofed up, or the platoon leader, which was a sergeant. We didn't have any officers leading us at the time, except our CO. And they left us up there and pulled off the hill. And Schaefer somehow woke up and he looked, and the Chinks were going to take the hill again, or the North Koreans. So we all 3 said, oh shit. We opened fired, and we held the hill, the 3 of us. And all the company came back up and they helped us out. They took us off the hill, and I don't know if there was a goof up or what, but they decorated all 3 of us, read the citation out, and that's how I got it. It was over with. It was somebody goofed up. When they formed the company, formed what do you call it for us, to read the citations. Russell was there, and what do you call it was there. We looked at each other and he said, did we do that? Because they wrote it up all together different than what happened. But we got them, but they didn't give us the medals, they give us a certificate. And I didn't get mine until 30-some years later, after I was discharged. I got it through the mail. Well, when they were coming up the hill, they were kind of just coming like they were going to a picnic. They didn't think we were up there. And if Schaefer didn't spot them and wake up and open up, I don't think they would have stopped. They would have just, but I think that they thought that we pulled off the hill and it was theirs. They could take it back. They could have it back. That's what I think. I don't know. The first time I got wounded, an FO plane flew over, and he called artillery in on us. Our own 155s came in on us, and Captain Wagner was up on the hill with us, and his radio man got killed with that barrage. And I heard Captain Wagner on the phone yelling and screaming, and I mean, he was cussing. Something like, you no good SOB up there. We don't want, it's bad enough the enemy's going to kill us. We don't want our own stuff killing us. And he was really yelling and screaming. I don't know who he was talking to, but he was yelling and screaming. He was mad. I think I was wounded, and Dick Horner was wounded. And this is a bad thing. Dick Horner was a concert pianist, and he started practicing at 3 years old. he was kind of a buddy with me. And in Japan, he used to play the piano for us all the time. And when I got wounded, I got hit in the thigh and then some shrapnel in other spots. But he got hit through the hand, being a concert pianist. And I looked at Horner and I said, aren't you going to call the doc and look at your hand? Then he started yelling and screaming and holding his head. And I called the medic. They evacuated us. And they evacuated Horner to Japan. And I went back to the outfit, and so did Horner. And Horner cracked up, and they were kicking him up the hill and everything. Finally, I talked to Captain Wagner, and I said, Horner's pretty bad. I think he should be sent out. But they sent Horner out, and he went someplace. I don't know where. He went back to the hospital or where. But I met him back home in Tomah, Wisconsin, and he was in a mental hospital, veterans mental hospital. And I walked up to him and I said, hey, hi Dick, hi Horner. Remember me? He says, Daddy, I'll play the piano. And he walked over to the piano and started playing the piano for me. But my belief is that somebody should have looked at his record and he should have been special service with a band and not a rifleman. That's where I rotated home from the Punch Bowl. And the second time I got hit was up in the Punch Bowl on 851. And that's when I took the bayonet. And while I was up there, and I came back from they sent me to the hospital. When I came back, they sent me to a service company as grave registrator. By that time, I had made Sergeant First Class because I was a squad leader in Easy Come, 4th Squad. And they sent me back there, and I had 2 litter bearers, 8 litter bearers, 2 litters, and another GI and myself picking up dead and wounded. And they'd send you out to an area where the dead was supposed to be. I went out there and I found a skeleton, and the dog tags are hanging between the rib cage, but he had decomposed, he rotted already. But his boots were still on, and his fatigues were laying under him. And he was in some like brush, kind of hid like he crawled in there and died. Well, I picked up everything, the skeleton and everything, and his boots, and part of the fatigues and his dog tags, and put them in a poncho and threw them across my shoulder, and then we headed back. On our way back, we hit a small patrol, I don't know exactly, but I opened up and I think I fired 3 shots, 4 shots if I remember right. And they ran off instead of coming at us. Well, when I got back, the guy I was with, Dare, I think his name was, told whoever it was in charge, and the company commander or whoever, and they wrote me up for my next decoration, the bronze, that I did a good job and I saved the government some money by, instead of a KIA, instead of MIA, he was KIA now. And I had done a good job. That's how I got it. When I was in grave registration, it was bad, but I was sent up to 2nd Battalion, and I picked up one of the guys up there, and his name was, if I can give his name was Keys. He was mechanic of Easy Company, I guess, and shrapnel had got him. And I knew him from the States, and he went all the way kind of to Japan with me and everything. And I had to bag him and mark him and ID him and put him in the bag and send him back to quartermaster. And there's a lot of other guys that I had to pick up. And I was supposed to be back there recuperating and getting rest before going back to my company from my wound. And here I had the worst job that you could think of. It was, I think I was mistreated again. They should have looked at my record or did something and not did that to me. I don't know how to explain it. I was in the hospital a period of, what was it? 19 and a half years, close to 20 years in and out of mental hospitals. And one doctor, Dr. Lorton, he was 7th Division psychiatrist in Korea. And he couldn't figure out what was going on with me. And he was treating me for all different things, putting me in the hospital, taking me out. And I didn't know what was going on with me until I met a Dr. Bernstein at VA Hospital. And he had studied post-traumatic stress, and he hit on it right away. From then, I used to drink a lot and try to forget. And a lot of times I used to go to a bar, and I'd drink and I'd say, "Here's to you, Key," or "Here's to you, Sergeant Hunter." And these are guys that got killed over there. I was in a bar having fun for them. And this is what I was doing. All at once, I was getting help, and my life changed. My drinking patterns stopped. I lived better life. I went back to my Indian ways. I also went back to church with my wife, and my whole life twisted around. If I would have only known when I first got home what I was suffering with. But Dr. Murray Bernstein at VA Hospital in Milwaukee actually saved my life, I think. He helped me an awful lot. When I got home, I came home and I went down to high school. The high school, I went to West Division High School, played football just like everybody else. And I came home and 2 guys was fighting over a girl, something about a girl. And I thought, these guys are kids. What are they doing this for? And I was an old man all at once, you know. It was, and they couldn't understand me. And one guy came up to me and asked me where I'd been. Was I in jail? Was I in Green Bay Reformatory or something? And I told him, no, I was in Korea. He says, are you a dummy? And then another guy, Jerry is his name, he come up to me, he showed me a slip where he showed the draft board and got a thing from a doctor and told me I was a dumb SOB, I should have done the same thing. But after seeing these guys fight, and this happened all at school, and he said this to me, I didn't hold it back. I cold conked him. I mean, I hit him a couple of good times, and it was all over with real quick. But then I jumped in the car and I got away from school. I just couldn't take it. I was an old man, and they were still my classmates, but I was an old man. They were kids, and I got so old, so fast when I come home.